Well, it happens to be Wednesday, January the 2nd, 2013. We made it.
Brand new year.
We're brand new year. We're all still here. And
a lot of people made a lot of money on a movie, 2012, which was a bunch of hooey.
A movie that was a bunch of hooey.
Yeah.
We are still here. We have survived the Mayan calendar. We have survived
the fiscal cliff.
Well, the fiscal cliff is just a right-wing Republican bullshit scheme to keep the rich from paying any taxes. And incidentally, I'm not too crazy about this bipartisanship deal that Barack Obama made. You know how some of these Democrats are. They have to compromise with Republicans, and the deal is that the rich start at what, $450,000 a year? Not $250,000, but $450,000 per year.
Yeah.
And the middle class taxes will not go up, but nothing was mentioned about lowering. Just some tax breaks that the middle class would see, right? But nothing was mentioned about drastically lowering the middle class taxes, which is not right.
And the taxes will go up because the 2%,
yeah,
payroll tax, FICA, was only good for a year.
Yeah.
So middle class taxes will go up, no matter what.
Yeah. Well, what is supposed to happen when you do the right thing and you don't compromise with the Republicans and try to get them to like you desperately? What the right thing to do is to take the tax burden completely off the middle class, because the middle class make up small businesses, you know, the entrepreneurs, which are real job creators. Not the corporations that outsource your jobs, but the little small businesses are the real job creators. Support Main Street. You take the tax burden completely off of them and you put it where it rightfully belongs, on the backs of the top, well, 1%, the fat cats.
30%.
30% are fat cat? All right.
Compared to me, they are.
All right, you put them on, like my partner said.
You don't have to put them on anything. That's the way the amendment is to the Constitution. You got money, you pay taxes.
You make more money, you pay more taxes. If you don't want to pay more taxes, you just don't make more money.
That's right.
But anyway,
you throw the money back into your business. You invest.
You invest.
There you go.
But anyway,
create jobs.
It is a new year. It is a new year, and it's time to take all those annoying Christmas decorations down, and that pagan.
Not if you're a redneck.
And that pagan Christmas. Well, who cares what rednecks think? And that
Christmas lights on all day, all year round.
Yeah, and that pagan Christmas tree. Time to take it down. But you know, I had a really great New Year's Eve. I was invited to two big, very fruitful, very prosperous, and fun, enjoyable parties. And you know, I got home safe. I didn't drink too much, and they went really well. There were 3 marathons on for Christmas Day. We had the Honeymooners, Twilight Zone, and the Three Stooges. And of course, I watched Three Stooges and some of the Honeymooners, but mostly the Stooges. And I just want to say, get well soon, Hillary Clinton. She has a blood clot, right, in a specific area of her brain near the skull. And
behind the right ear.
Behind the right ear, and they said it was in a more favorable position.
However,
so I hope she gets well soon.
Instead of giving vitamin E, omega-3,
okay,
vitamin C, and maybe some of the, you know, like ginseng and the blood. No, They give anticoagulants, which means Coumadin.
Of course.
Which cannot be really controlled properly.
Of course, the government medical doctors in Washington are
Orthodox.
Are orthodox drug pushers, and they bow down and worship the pharmaceutical industry. You know, of course, they're not. It's not going to be a Dr. Julian Whitaker or a Dr. Gary Null or anybody like that treating Hillary Clinton.
Right.
It's going to be an orthodox doctor, like Dr. Oz, even though he portrays himself to know a lot about health and nutrition, but he's not.
But he's got his own hospital.
What?
He does heart stuff.
He's a cardio surgeon. He's a cardiologist, right?
Big shot. I'm sure he has his own hospital. And there's a commercial.
Yeah, he's a
man.
whore. He's a whore to the drug companies. But oh, by the way, I don't know if this is true, but I heard Harold Camping died. I was told that.
Who told you? A listener?
No. Yeah, who did tell me?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, he was very old.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, I guess, like Ken says, if he died, he carries a lot of baggage with him when he died. But
well, we all carry a lot of baggage.
That's true.
When we die.
That's true. Isn't it funny how the right-wing fundamentalists feel everybody else is carrying a lot more baggage than they are?
Because they feel they occupy the high moral ground in America.
The bat phone to God.
That's correct.
And speaking of bat phone to God, I heard that an abortion clinic was protested by annoying right-to-life idiots recently, yelling at the women. I'm sorry, not an abortion clinic. Worse, a mere Planned Parenthood clinic. I'm sorry. Was being protested. A Planned Parenthood clinic.
Those idiots, Phelps and his
Jerks.
idiots, they were supposed to protest at Newtown, where all the kids were killed.
Yes.
And shot. They were supposed to. I never heard anything more about it. Whether they did or not.
I don't know. Well,
those ones who protest all the soldiers when they get killed.
Listen,
Religious nuts.
regardless what Washington does with gun control, the bad people, the criminals, will still get their guns and weapons through the black market.
However.
There's a however in there somewhere?
Oh, yes, there's a big however. Mr. Wayne LaPierre, the executive director of the NRA, he believes that everybody should be armed, and therefore, when somebody comes along with a gun, you can shoot him. Well, you know what? There was a case up in one of the Northwest states, either Washington or Oregon or somewhere up there. 4 cops were sitting in a donut shop or whatever, okay?
Donut shop.
And this guy comes in who had a grudge against him. Now remember, the 4 cops are all armed. Guess what? He blew them all away.
Because
they were armed.
Because they
didn't get the chance to get him out of the holster and pop him.
So he shot the police officers in cold blood, like they used to say in the old Wild Wild West. A coward's way.
So they want a teacher to draw her gun if somebody comes into the classroom with an AK-47 and wants to, spray the room. They want the teacher to pull out her gun and shoot him.
So they
Get out of my face!
So they want to turn the United States into a big, gigantic Dodge City.
Without a Wyatt Earp.
Without a Wyatt Earp.
Or whoever was the sheriff in Dodge City. Well, check your guns, boys.
That's taking it too far. I mean, look. I agree. If American citizens should be allowed to purchase shotguns and rifles because they are traditionally used for hunting. But if you have to, push comes to shove, you use them for other reasons.
Yeah, but the...
But automatic military weapons, no citizen has any business owning them.
Yeah,
but the bad guys are able to get better weapons than the police because they get it through the black market. Why? How come this is not addressed? They will get it through the black market. Is the United States government willing to stop the black market?
However, here's a problem. If nobody had any guns...
People get paid off.
If nobody had any guns, they'd have to kill people a different way, like with stones.
Or knives.
Or knife. Or sword.
Or some bludgeon.
Some
like
kind of
shillelaghs.
Yeah.
Or mace. Yeah. So there's no mass killing involved.
Exactly.
Or sword.
Because
Excaliburs.
We can't stop killing. The bad guys will always kill.
So we'll minimize
the damage. The collateral damage. Unlike the drone strikes, which do not minimize the collateral damage. Oh yeah.
Hence the children who
they get an Al-Qaeda member now and then.
But how many innocent children?
How many innocent ones
are men, women, and children that have their limbs blown off, which I see many photographs on the internet. This poor, pathetic girl. She made the mistake of she was born with a very rare defective disease, and she made the mistake of producing I don't know, like a 8-minute video on YouTube, and she was voted the ugliest female on the planet Earth. And did you know some no-good scumbags posted under her video that she should just commit suicide and kill herself because she's so ugly? You see the lack of compassion we have here in the end times, and in 2013, you know, telling the poor girl. And what about the poor, the very pretty poor soul in India who got gang raped on a bus, and they killed her?
They killed her,
and she died. So Indian women are outraged and they're protesting because of how their culture treats women.
Let's see. How long has India been around? A few thousand years?
No, like as old as China, several thousand years.
Gee whiz. They're just getting around to that now?
Because of Western society, they hear about how women have supposedly equal rights in the West, so it's catching on.
Oh well, gee whiz. Should have caught on a few thousand years ago.
And why does the
do the right thing?
Do the right thing. Like what Confucius says. He is not for or against anything. He is about righteousness. You know, doing the right thing is the most important aspect of life. Making the right decision.
Of course, if you have a stupid ideology like the Tea Party, you don't know what the right thing is.
It could be the teabaggers. It could be a culture, a society, a government that where they all live by an ideology, like the police turning a blind eye if a woman is beaten up and raped in India or another country. Justice not being served. Let's say if it's in the ghetto and you have a black on black crime, and the police take their sweet ass time to investigate it or do nothing about it. That's not right either. Doing the right thing is the best way to live, and it's not about politics, putting a political tag on everything. You know, partisanship. You know, it's about just simply doing the right thing, which is basically what the Christian Bible teaches: doing the right thing. Because the right thing is for the rich to help the poor, and the right thing is to tax the rich.
I don't like the way you phrased that. It's not their job to help the poor. He who has the riches of this world has big responsibilities.
But it's fair to tax the rich,
and
though.
His job is to make that poor person rich, like himself.
Yeah, not to.
If this were a Christian nation, as the stupid Republicans continuously say,
yeah, right.
there would be no poor in America.
Not to use a phony baloney trickle-down economics and throw the poor crumbs, because that's what they're doing. They're dickling down economics. Pissle down, throwing some crumbs.
Didn't somebody put up a picture last night on Facebook concerning that? There were the poor at the table there getting scraps, waiting for scraps.
Might have been JPM. Might have been me.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the poor people are getting scraps, and that's the trickle.
Rich people's table, yeah.
And that's the trickle down. You know, it's like when your dog and your cat, you know, you're eating at the dining room table, and they're sitting there and they're looking at you, and like with a cat, they have a cute way of blinking, batting their eyelashes at you. They keep on blinking because they want something, and dogs just go, you know, they pant.
Because dogs will eat anything.
And they're like, and
shit.
And they stare at you. Oh yeah, they stare at you until, you know, they're trying to soft soap you there, you know, wear you down so you give you some food. Well, you know, that's how. No, actually, dogs and cats get treated better than the poor. I'm not going to compare a family pet to the way the wealthy treat the poor in America, because there's no comparison. Dogs and cats live a very luxurious life compared to human beings, low-income human beings in America.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, I will, for the new year, of course, I would like to formally pipe aboard my co-host and mentor,
Johnny Depp,
and the Billy Depp.
Billy Depp. I'm being piped aboard.
Our progressive, and I'm not ashamed to say the word liberal,
Whoa.
pirate ship here at the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey, and I want to do it formally with my genuine bosun's whistle. The founder of Newsletter Censored in 1977. Excuse me. Arr, ahoy, matey, and welcome aboard the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. How are you feeling this week, sir?
Pretty good, pretty good.
We were supposed to do a show like we normally do on Saturday, but I had a very important big meeting / New Year's Eve party to go to, and then bad weather came. You know, we got some icy roads, right, past several days,
and good melting since then.
And thank God, good melting. Yeah. And then I had another wonderful New Year's. On New Year's Eve, I was with a bunch of professional wrestlers with my close friend, the reinforcer Andrew Anderson, at his house with his lovely family, and we had a lot of laughs. I listened to a lot of great professional wrestling stories, and we had great food and drink, and everything.
Food and grog.
Food and grog, and it went wonderfully, and I drove very responsibly. I made sure I sobered up a bit before I went home, and I did not encounter any DWIs, thank God. And it was okay. It was a fun-filled evening. And by the way, Andrew Anderson was in the Golden Globe Award-winning movie called The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei. All right, now. I'm not sure if Harold Camping passed away, so don't, you know, I don't know. I mean, he was quite old, so it's possible. Okay, let us sink our teeth into these readings, because I'm sure we have a pile of them to go through. Hold on. The official ringing in of the new year, 2013. Not a lucky number, but hopefully it will be. Go ahead.
The last thing we need in an already weakened economy is to go off the fiscal cliff.
Oh, that bullshit.
Americans are suffering enough with the unemployment rate, still unreasonably high.
Hold on. Which is not 7% like Dan E. Mount says. He believes what the news media tells him. It is not 7% unemployment.
And and 12 million people without jobs.
Not counting the people who gave up and who are no longer collecting unemployment.
Going off the cliff will raise taxes and threaten at least 10 million jobs. Those that are still unemployed would lose their benefits. And economists have predicted that we would fall into a recession. What we need is a responsible plan to cut spending and thus address our national debt. It's frustrating that a number of proposals from both inside and outside Congress to address the massive federal debt and fix our economy have been held up by Democrats.
Where's this guy been for the last 2 years? There's something in the Congress called the Tea Party.
As a constituent of the 9th District in New Jersey, I urge my congressman, Bill Pascrell Jr., to push President Obama to support the House Republican plan to cut spending.
Get the hell out of here. More compromising?
Well, that's not compromising, that's cutting spending, and you know what that means.
The little guy gets cut.
That's correct.
Social Security, social services, food stamps, welfare, Medicare, Medicaid. Not the rich. It doesn't mean the rich are going to be taxed like they should.
All those things that we wouldn't need if it were a Christian nation.
Or should I say the bloated military?
Whoa!
The bloated...
No, ever talk ill about the military budget.
Pentagon budget? Oh, of course that wasn't mentioned. Oh, gosh. I hope the independents rally together in 2016.
By doing so, we would avoid putting more Americans out of work and bring a much-needed fiscal fix to our nation's future. Of course, this person is a Republican.
A nincompoop.
Who wrote that letter?
A Republican nincompoop who wrote it. A jerk. Oh, did you see that bit of information I posted? I think it was from, if I'm not mistaken, the Conspiracy Watch page, where it shows you exactly what percentages of each state have people that are on social services, welfare, and how
southern states,
and how it's higher than ever before in the history of America.
Because the southern states do not spend money on their people, and when they pay the taxes to the federal government, they get more back than the big states like New York,
right,
etc.
And maybe the jobs are just not here in America.
Oh, stop with that excuse.
You hear that? You pull yourself, all you pull yourself up by the bootstrap, Americans who are don't have a pot to piss in, but you talk like a conservative. You know, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. America's the land of milk and honey and opportunity, and oh, you could find a job out there. You could find a job. Go get a job, any job. One job, two job, three job.
That's what it amounts to today.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, rock.
Whereas
remember that?
when you had a job that supported you and your family, one job, today you need 2 and 3 to do that.
With no sleep, right?
Well, I guess not. Who the hell cares about sleep?
Because you'll probably have time.
I gotta work for the man.
You'll work for the sleazeball, the man. Come home, take a shower, piss, shit, eat leftovers real fast, and go to brush your teeth and go to bed, and then get up and do another 3 shifts.
Yeah, and make sure you wear a diaper in between, because you're not going to the bathroom.
Wear a diaper, and meanwhile, all the children and the families of the congressmen and senators will live high on the hog, including the families of all the CEOs in America will live high on the hog, and the kids will get very cushy jobs and have tons of leisure time, and mainstream America will suffer.
Some right-winger posted on Facebook the other day that Obama signed a raise for the Congress.
What?
Now, I understood that Congress had already, they get raises automatically. No president has to
Which
sign.
they should not, because
They
they're
do.
already getting paid almost 200 grand a year, right?
Yes, but that's the law they made for
Of
themselves.
course, of course.
Okay, for themselves.
And they don't like the minimum wage for the mainstream.
So
Funny how that works.
the point is, these right-wingers, they have no idea about Civics 101. First of all, Obama doesn't create any laws. Okay? He may suggest. The Congress produces law.
He's not the...
So if Obama signed something, the Congress sent it to him.
Right.
But as I say, as far as I know, they get their raises automatically. They made it so that it was like that.
So if it's a law that helps the little guy, that means that the Democrats in the House and Senate are most likely presenting President Obama with the new bill or the new law, and then Obama would read it, look it over, read it, and then make a decision, and then it has to be approved, right?
It has to be approved by the Senate and the House.
Before Obama,
So the House is populated
Right.
by Republicans.
they're going to say no.
They own the House.
Right.
I'm saying, I don't know. I never heard of it happening.
Right. Now when
These people post these things.
if a president doesn't like a specific law, then
He can veto it.
He vetoes it. Then it goes back to the House and Senate, and like a pinball machine.
And if there's enough people to override the veto, it becomes law. If they're not, it don't.
Okay. Now, do Supreme Court justices ever get involved in these laws, or they deal with different type of laws?
Only when a law is challenged. And the court decides to hear it. The court must decide to hear cases.
It would have to be a real important law that cannot
like
be
Citizens
decided.
United. Important law. Crap!
What a bunch of sleazeballs.
Republicans have fought to overturn the New Deal for more than 75 years. Whether it's the regulation curbing Wall Street abuses, collective bargaining, minimum wage, unemployment insurance, Social Security, or Medicare. In short, everything designed to help and protect poor and working class Americans. Their strategy is to starve the beast. Bankrupt the government so the government can't afford to finance social programs.
In their eyes, the government is the beast. In reality, the corporation and the elitists are the beast.
They want to make the government, our government, by the way, small enough to drown in a bathtub. Which means destroy it.
Okay.
Why
Because they want to
do we not call this traitors?
changing, tampering with, corrupting the Constitution. It's traitorous, in my opinion.
Republicans just voted down a bid to repeal tax breaks for large companies. This repeal could have softened cuts in Medicare and Medicaid. The politicians who consistently vote for the interests of the rich are simply voting for their own self-interests, their jobs. What's the excuse for voting for such Republicans? Because guys have the right to marry? Gays, excuse me, guys. Or because people dying of cancer can get pain relief by using marijuana. Or because the elderly can get a couple of extra bucks in their monthly Social Security checks. Losing a McMansion because of restrictions on assault weapons or 100-round drums of ammunition. people who are pleasantly plump may have a lower risk of dying than those who are considered the ideal weight or who are markedly obese.
It's bullshit. I'm sure the toxic U.S. food industry would love this article.
This is according to a U.S. government report.
Oh, like we're going to believe a government report?
The report reviewed 97 studies involving more than 2.88 million people globally. It found the lowest risk among those who are overweight, though not obese.
Not obese. Pleasantly plump is like saying more to love. If you read personal ads, you know.
The findings were immediately challenged because the report didn't consider gender, age, fat distribution, or fitness.
Yes, it's true.
The researchers agreed no recommendation should be made based on their findings. The report also shouldn't be viewed as a path to overindulge.
Yeah. Well, the so-called proper weight for a specific height and gender is very inaccurate, because would you call a professional power lifter who might have a belly but is mostly solid muscle, would you call them overweight or obese for their height? Certainly not. Or a bodybuilder, or some women have a genetic inclination to put on more muscle mass than, let's say, the average woman, or maybe they have a large frame. Would you call them overweight? No, because they're physically fit, they're athletic, they're naturally that way. So you know, that chart that the insurance companies put out, that goofball chart, what is it, the life insurance companies put it out, and showing the ideal weight for men and women of certain heights.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of nonsense.
Fructose.
It's an ose, which means it's a sugar.
A sweetener found on many food labels may contribute to weight gain,
Of course.
and obesity because it has minimal effect on brain regions that control appetite.
Isn't also corn syrup,
syrup
a type of fructose?
It's just like corn.
Yeah, my ass.
That's what those commercials said.
Tonight, when you go online, you're going to see a photograph of a genetically modified cow, which looks like it came from another planet. It's actually an they called it an abomination to nature.
Oh boy.
All right, see?
Man playing God.
The island of Dr. Moreau, if you remember.
Yeah, but at least they were, you know, normal size, not normal size, but they looked normal. They you know, they were human beings. But they were little, that's all.
They weren't mutated, disfigured, poor creatures, you know.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
The research published today in the Journal of the American Medical Association is the first to compare the human brain's response to fructose and glucose, two types of simple sugars, used separately and together to sweeten food. Researchers have long suspected that increased consumption of food flavored with fructose, a substance sweeter to the taste than glucose, may contribute to the U.S. obesity epidemic. The latest study used brain imaging to measure activity after the sweeteners were consumed.
I'm pouring my tea. I'm not urinating. So.
It found that only glucose had the ability to reduce blood flow in areas of the brain that regulate appetite, stopping people from wanting to eat more. The data surely suggests that it's probably not in your best interest to have high fructose containing drinks, because they're not going to cause you to be full.
Well, I know that if the body had a choice between a sugar and an essential fatty acids, fats, the body always chooses fats over sugar for energy. Fats are much more efficient. Actually, I read an article.
They provide more calories.
Yeah, well, if you believe in the calories in, calories out.
No, I'm talking about for warming the body.
Yes, yes.
And for, you know.
And women have a higher fat requirement, and therefore have a higher body fat percentage. Now, I read a very interesting article concerning ancient Indian Ayurvedic medicine, and it goes back thousands of years, and a product known as ghee, which is spelled G-H-E-E, which is clarified butter, is very medicinal and healthy for humans, and it's also a very important food for athletes, like traditional Kushti Indian wrestlers, and they serve ghee with everything. So, you know, you're talking about clarified butter, which you can make very easily at home by putting unsalted butter in a pan, and then you simmer it, and then eventually the milk solids sink to the bottom, and you have a clear, very fragrant, clear yellow liquid that forms on top, and then you just simply strain out the milk solids, and the rest is ghee. And ghee does not have to be refrigerated, from what I understand. And this is very medicinal, and it's, you know, I mean, am I going to argue with a culture that's thousands of years old?
Yes. Because they still have not given the rights to their women.
Yeah, I'm talking about nutrition. I'm talking about ghee. I'm not talking about rights to women. I mean, I'm sure Carlton Fredericks and all the people that believe in the ketogenic diet would agree that the ghee is a good way to go. It kind of rhymes. Ghee is a good way to go.
Butter is certainly better than margarine.
Butter is better. It's definitely butter is better. It's they mentioned that it is a rich source of fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin E, A, D, and K. Butter is much more nutritious. And actually, I would say butter is up there with cold-pressed vegetable oils of you know, the healthier kind, the monounsaturated oils and the omega-3 oils, flaxseed oil, hemp oil, walnut oil, avocado oil, almond oil, you know. All right, go ahead.
Weary lawmakers approved emergency legislation late Tuesday to avoid a national fiscal cliff of major tax increases and spending cuts in a New Year's night culmination of a struggle that tested divided government to the limit.
It's so easy. It's so easy. Trim the military, tax the rich. Trim the military, tax the rich. They don't have to take anything away from the little guy and the poor. Trim the military, tax the rich. That's all they have to do.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you see, the poor don't give to their campaign coffers.
And then the
military-industrial complex, private contractors do.
And the Democrats that are supposed to feel your pain are caving, are folding like cheap cameras to the fat cats who want to make sure that the little guy is driven into deeper poverty, so they will be desperate enough to become slaves, and that the rich will never pay any taxes. And
again, I'm going to say it for the 100th time, because it ain't getting through to people's heads. We live in a country filled with people, politicians, whatever,
liars for hire,
who believe it's better not to tax the rich, but to tax those on unemployment insurance.
You hear that? And the reason why they get away with it, and the reason why you have so many Republicans in Congress, is because the stupid, numbskull, nincompoop Americans in mainstream continue to believe the flat-out lie that helping the rich and not taxing corporations and the rich create jobs in the United States because of this other big lie of trickle-down economics, which is pissle-down dickonomics.
Well,
and I continue to believe it.
We've had these tax cuts for 12 years. Where's the jobs?
Where are the jobs?
Where's all the jobs that were created?
And the rich have had a tax holiday for the past, what,
32 years or so?
About 32 years?
Yeah. Yeah. Even the little raise they got in Bill Clinton's time, you know, I mean, what the hell did they save from 1980 to 1992? Huh?
Yeah. And Bill Clinton was being kind to them because, you know, if it was during FDR and Truman, Eisenhower, the rich would be paying a big tax rate, you know?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Let the mouser out.
One of our beloved cats wants to get out.
The passage in the House sends the measure
Come on,
to
Steve. Come on, Steve.
President Obama for his signature and hands him a political triumph less than 2 months after he secured re-election while campaigning for higher taxes on the wealthy. I will sign a law that raises taxes on the wealthiest 2% of Americans, Obama said. The extraordinary late-night House vote came nearly 24 hours after Senate action spilled over from New Year's Eve into the pre-dawn hours of 2013. The House bill was approved 257 to 167. In addition to neutralizing middle-class tax increases and spending cuts that technically took effect Monday at midnight, legislation raises tax rates on incomes over $400,000 and $450,000.
Now this, what is the nickname they use for this compromising deal? What is it called? The Fiscal Cliff deal?
Something like that?
Something like that? Yeah. Oh boy. It's plain as the nose on your face. The independents have to rally in 2016. Either that, or you're just going to have to wait till the second coming of Christ.
Well, if you're waiting for the second coming of Christ, then that means the demise of the United States government and captivity for its people.
Well, isn't the United States the modern-day descendant of Manasseh? And is cursed by God?
Well, of course.
But if you talk to these numbskulls out there, these redneck, red state, pull yourself up by the bootstrap morons who tell you about God being the land of milk. I'm sorry, America being the land of milk and honey, and you know, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and you got all this opportunity. They refuse to believe that the United States is cursed and the modern-day descendant of Manasseh.
Oh, because they believe in U.S. exceptionalism.
You heard what...
Beacon on the Hill.
You heard...
Reagan said it.
Bacon on the Hill?
Beacon.
Oh, I like bacon better. Now, you heard what Danny Mount said? He says, oh, well, I'm full of doom and gloom. He's not going to... He refuses to... He wants to continue to live in his mind, to live in the America of the past. And he says that I am full of doom and gloom, and he is not going to accept my doom and gloom statements.
Tell him to read Matthew 24 for doom and gloom. and then understand that it applies to the modern-day descendants of ancient Israel.
Well, he's an atheist.
Well, good for him. But that doesn't have anything to do with what the Bible is saying.
No, it doesn't.
You know, you have to prove your area of expertise, Mr. Atheist, or you have to prove the other one.
You think it's possible that...
But you can't accept an ideology just for the hell of it.
You think it's possible that these people who scream at anybody who mentions God, Jesus, or the Bible, you think these people that call themselves an atheist are hiding some heavy-duty skeletons in their closet, and they don't want to come to grips that they will meet their maker someday?
Well, that...
Maybe they have a heavy guilt trip on them?
The thing of it is, it doesn't matter. All are going to meet their maker.
Well, I'm trying to psych out and understand the people that talk nonsense.
But they, according to Revelation 12:9, are deceived.
Well,
so in their mind, they're not talking nonsense.
Well then,
but again,
but they're still nincompoops and numbskulls.
Because they haven't proven their ideology. It is accepting it. And when they do try to prove it, they prove it against traditional Christianity and its interpretations of the Bible.
And then when you throw proven facts at them, they come back with name calling.
Well, some of them do.
Some of them do, yeah.
Maybe one or two might go and do some homework.
Because, oh, you mean research?
Yeah.
Heaven forbid anybody in America should do some homework and research.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. It is time for the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman's gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by his supplement taking. Oh, by the way, sir, is this other painting done or not quite?
It's not done yet.
Okay. Is this a gouache or
no
watercolor?
No.
Is watercolor?
No. Don't you see the difference?
Looks like
from that other piece of crap.
It looks watercolor.
That I failed at. I gave up on.
It looks watercolor.
Well,
is it watercolor?
It looks kind of nice, doesn't it?
It looks more than kind of nice.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But the gouache one, I could never get to look like that.
I think you should take the gouache and squash this. The gouache should be squashed. We're talking artist talk here. Dr. Bill is working on a beautiful, from what I could see, new painting, and when it's done,
show him quick before we get out of here.
It's not all right.
It's not done. Okay?
It's not. All right. Listen, jabronis. Read my lips.
Read my lips.
This painting is not completely done yet.
It's watercolor. It's watercolor.
It's watercolor, but it's in the works.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay. Down a little. Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Now, isn't that a beautiful painting? That is a beautiful. What would you call this? Erotica?
No.
Oh, she has clothes. She has clothes on. Okay.
Well, is that erotic? Some people are erotic when they got clothes on.
Well, it's relative. Well, what's erotic?
It's a beautiful young woman. That's all. I have to.
All right.
That's all.
All right. All right.
Maybe she's airing out her,
her memories.
No.
Well, Dr. Bill, every single time the local news here in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area quotes something from the Bible or Christianity, they're always getting the opinion of a right-wing fundamentalist, holy roller, phony baloney evangelist like Joel Osteen, and who's the other guy you mentioned?
Rick Warren.
Rick Warren?
Franklin Graham.
Franklin Graham. Never somebody who tells you what the Bible really says, like David C. Pack. No.
Gerald Fleury.
What's his name?
And Dr. Bill.
Dr. Bill and Harold.
Gerald Fleury.
Gerald Fleury. David C. Pack and the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. No, they always go to the right-wing fundamentalists who always say that you can talk to God about anything, and that's what a lot of these churches teach. You can have a conversation with God about just about anything, like he was a genie in a lamp, and that you have an immortal soul that is going to fly out of your body to meet Jesus in the air somewhere. And they believe that Jerusalem will not descend onto the ground. It's going to be levitated somewhere up in the sky. New Jerusalem.
Stratos.
Star Trek. Everything is in the sky with the right-wing fundamentalists.
Well, that ain't what Revelation 22 says.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Did they ever read that?
What do they mean by that, the Beatles? Lucy in
that
the Sky.
That was drugs, baby.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds?
That's correct.
All right, what were you saying?
Revelation 22. That's all they do is need to read it. Find out where New Jerusalem's going to be. What's wrong with them?
Yeah, and the
little homework.
Well, of course, we have a sinister message for the poor and the middle class in America. Sounds like this. We are here to kill you. Let me wait till this stops. But anyway, the whole world is deceived, and it's amazing how so few of us really get it and are able to see through the fog and are able to determine the lies from the truth, the distortions from the reality. There's really not many of us that are able to do that. That's why people like us, David C. Pack, some of your independent candidates that are honest, progressive, honest people, have a small flock. We all have a small flock. I mean, even Dr. Gary Null has a small flock, because you don't see him on mainstream cable or really on mainstream radio. Yeah, we have, the closest thing we have is Lionel. Lionel is on WPIX Channel 11, New York. He's on mainstream, not major network, but he's on mainstream. But I'm surprised they have Lionel on WPIX, because he could be tough. He's a rabble-rouser when he wants to be. I think he would be very good on the Progressive Radio Network with a video talk show where he can go all out. Lionel, you don't have to worry about sponsors. Might be a good. They already have that Japanese physicist on the Progressive Radio Network. The famous Japanese physicist.
Kaku or
Kaku. It's Kaku.
The other guy, Mishu, whatchamacallit, he's
the guy with the wavy gray hair.
Michio Kaku.
Michio Kaku. He's on. Gary
I'm thinking of the other guy. What's his name?
Gary No got him. That's him.
The guy with the food. The raw food. The Michio.
Chef Morimoto? The Iron Chef?
No, I'm not. No, what's that kind of food where you're eating raw, you're eating...
I'm talking about physicists.
I know, but he has a name which is quite similar.
He's a sushi chef?
Not a sushi chef.
He's Japanese?
I guess with a name like that.
I'm unaware of who you're talking.
You don't put the thing up on Facebook!
I'm unaware. In the words of the late Ronald Reagan, I don't recall.
You put the thing up on Facebook!
That's Chef Morimoto.
No!
The Iron Chef.
It's the... What do you call that? The theory of the raw foods and etc.
Oh, you're talking about these, it's almost like a cult. There's these people out there that they originally were vegan and they decided to go on a raw food diet, saying that we must all eat raw food and do not cook our foods. And it turns out many vegetables, because of the fiber density, you know, cannot be broken down by the human digestive system. And
what is that called? It escapes me at the moment.
you mean the name of the diet or the name of the gentleman?
The name of the diet, and then you'll
Raw food diet.
Then you'll know the name of the guy.
Raw food diet.
No.
Look, Kaku is.
We had a discussion about it a while ago, several times, where I said that raw foods like that, it's not a complete diet. It's not complete. Remember?
It's not complete.
There's a name for that
It's
diet.
not complete because we can't break down a lot of raw
What does that have to do?
vegetables. It is complete.
What does that have to do with learning the guy's name and the theory that he's propounding? I don't care about
Macrobiotics?
That's it.
George Osawa and Michio Kushi.
Michio Kushi. Now you couldn't get Kushi from that Michio.
Because the macrobiotic diet is not a raw foods diet. They tell you to cook your foods through steaming, pressure cooking, you know, what have you, but not to overcook your foods.
Whatever, but that's Michio.
It is a vegan,
Kushi.
it is a vegetarian or
That's
vegan.
the name. I
Michio,
was trying to think of
Michio Kushi.
Kushi, not Kaku.
Now, two different fields altogether.
Correct.
But yeah, there are some problems with macrobiotics, even though Danny Mount insists that's the way to live. He worships the ground that they stand on. And see, this gets back to what I was saying many times, that fanaticism in humans is extremely annoying. There are people who can't just be an open-minded, free-thinking, independent, free-thinking, open-minded person that analyzes everything and listens to both sides of the story and makes a decision based on what they've studied. They have to be a fanatic. I mean, I know animal rights activists that are not only vegan, but they'll yell at somebody for having a leather jacket or a leather belt. There's no way I'm wearing vinyl or naugahyde jacket or a belt. You know, my black Western hat is leather. I like leather. You know what I mean? I like my wallet to be leather. They're fanatics. Same thing with the raw food, macrobiotics. These people have a tendency to group together and become fanatics to the point where their beliefs are like a cult.
Like the Tea Party.
Exactly. Exactly. Anyway, the sinister voice speaking to the poor. Now that annoying contraption stopped, which happens to be the heating
That
system.
annoying contraption keeps us warm,
Heating system.
you know.
We are here to kill you. We are here to kill you. We are here to kill you. Gee, it sounds like we are here to kill you. Or enslave you.
Huh?
We are here to enslave you. To enslave you. They would love to enslave us. A little juice harp medley.
Must be a real Jews harp because I heard oi oi there a couple of times.
Oi?
Oi.
Oi vey?
Oi vey, man. You know?
Oy vey. Oy vey. Oy vey. My employees want a raise. Oy vey. I have to pay overhead. Oy vey.
Overhead? Oh, yeah.
You know, like the retailers. The most annoying commercials have to be your furniture stores, insurance companies, and car dealers. Insurance companies are nauseating. I mean, they're so obnoxious. They bop you over the head with, you know,
the Geico.
It's in your face.
The gecko. The Geico gecko.
Yeah, but a lot of people tell me
he's cute.
They're not really saving the most money.
Well, that has nothing to do with anything.
With
We're talking about the gecko.
You know, the gecko is based on a real gecko that is exactly that color. It's called a Madagascar day gecko, which means it's not nocturnal. It's a diurnal. And it's that pretty green.
Cool.
Anyway, back to the readings. Boing, boing.
FBI files, excuse me, on Marilyn Monroe.
Ooh.
That could not be located earlier this year have been found and reissued,
right,
revealing the names of some of the movie stars' communist leading friends who drew concern from government officials and her own entourage.
Heaven help anybody in America who disagrees with capitalism.
But the records, which previously had been heavily redacted, do not contain any new information about Monroe's death 50 years ago. Letters and news clippings included in the files show the Bureau was aware of theories the actress had been killed, but they do not show that any effort was undertaken to investigate the claims.
So evidence did eventually come out that it was not a suicide?
There are theories.
Theories. Right.
Los Angeles authorities concluded Monroe's death was a probable suicide. Recently obtained by the Associated Press through the Freedom of Information Act, the updated FBI files do show the extent the agency was monitoring Monroe for ties to communism in the years before her death in August 1962.
You say it in a very sinister way.
I'm saying it because it at that time everybody was a communist.
Oh, that McCarthy.
Who McCarthy and them disagreed with.
The McCarthy jerk-off?
And today, the Tea Party boys and girls, anybody who criticizes the capitalistic system, mutant system that we are involved in, is a Chinko commie.
Anybody, and you're hearing it from old James over here, anybody who buys low and sells high is a sinful demon.
Of course, these people who say communists, they
don't
know what a communist is.
And the Bible says so. Yeah, what Karl Marx taught was not the later corrupted Soviet Union totalitarian form of government. You know, it was a fair form of government where everybody is taken care of equally, and you don't have.
Well, communism is the fact that everybody owns everything in common.
Just like the word says.
Much like the Jesus and the apostles.
Like the word commune.
Commune.
That the hippies used the word. The word commune. Communist.
Yes. They own everything in common. If, like on an island, let's say you live on an island and there's 100 people there in your tribe or whatever, you all own the canoe in common.
Right.
The canoe that goes out to bring in the fish that you eat.
There is no 1% that owns and controls everything.
Correct.
In a communist type of society.
Correct.
And once you corrupt that and you have a military dictator,
A totalitarian.
a totalitarian that claims to be a socialist or a communist, but in actuality he's like a king,
A tyrant. A
tyrant. Despot. He controls, he hogs everything.
However, conservatives have no problem with totalitarian fascists. They just dislike totalitarian communists.
Oh, so when Ronald Reagan was ranting and raving about communism and Gorbachev tearing the wall down and all that stuff, what he really meant was they didn't dislike totalitarian fascism.
No, they supported the totalitarian fascists in South America, did they not?
Yeah, because they believe that there should be a tiny percentage that controls and owns everything.
Yeah, it's called the elites.
The elites.
Yeah.
The fat cats.
And they consist of the rich and the corporations in America.
And this is the corporate plutocracy that exists today.
It's called fascism.
That want to enslave the mainstream.
Correct.
Like all your lovely companies out there, like your Walmarts and so on and so forth. And more wicked companies like Monsanto. They want you to be desperate, so you work for slave labor.
The records reveal that some in Monroe's inner circle were concerned about her association with Frederick Vanderbilt Field, who was disinherited from his wealthy family over his leftist views. A trip to Mexico earlier that year to shop for furniture brought Monroe in contact with Field, who was living in the country with his wife in self-imposed exile. Informants reported to the FBI that mutual infatuation had developed between Field and Monroe, which caused concern among some in her inner circle, including her therapist. This situation caused considerable dismay among Miss Monroe's entourage, and also among the American Communist Group in Mexico. The file states it includes references to an interior decorator who worked with Monroe's analyst, reporting her connection to Field to the doctor. Field's autobiography devotes an entire chapter to Monroe's Mexico trip. He mentions that he and his wife accompanied Monroe on shopping trips and meals. And he only mentions politics once in a passage on their dinner time conversations. She talked mostly about herself and some of the people who had been or still were important to her. She told us about her strong feelings for civil rights, for black equality, as well as her admiration for what was being done in China, her anger at red baiting and McCarthyism, and her hatred of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. Now you know why she had a file, don't you? Because she hated J. Edgar Hoover, the nut.
Oh, people couldn't disagree with him?
Correct.
What is he, he's like he's another despot?
And he hated blacks, along with his cross-dressing.
Cross-dressing, yeah.
And the boyfriend that he lived with for many moons. Not that there's anything wrong with being gay, mind you. But
Hey.
there is for a hypocrite.
A hypocrite, right.
Right.
Going after, being holier than thou and going after certain people, meanwhile,
Being one of them.
being one of them.
Yeah.
Well, racism definitely exists, I think, when it comes to employers, companies. I've heard stories They get around it without being accused, but it exists. I heard stories where the WWE, the people who own and run the WWE, have treated African American workers, wrestlers, terribly, historically. Horrible, horrible stories, like the poor Kamala story. Incidentally, the poor soul had both his legs amputated. You get Ugandan giant Kamala from diabetes. Not one leg, but both legs. And he was screwed.
There again is an example.
He was screwed over big time, money-wise.
Between the difference of being fit and being healthy.
Eventually, the obesity will catch up with you, and you will contract. You will come down with obesity-related and blood sugar-related diseases, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, viruses and bacteria and cancer cells just love to feed on sugar.
Oh yeah.
All three of them do.
Oh yeah.
And sugar is what turns into body fat.
Under Hoover's watch, the FBI kept tabs on the political and social lives of many celebrities, including Frank Sinatra, Charlie Chaplin.
Really?
The greatest speech.
The video is on our Facebook page, The Greatest Speech Ever Made, by Mr. Charlie Chaplin, the legend, the great Charlie Chaplin. First time I ever heard him talk.
You see what he dressed like?
Yeah.
Stormtrooper.
Did you like it though?
Yeah.
The greatest speech ever made?
Yeah.
Okay.
I finally got to listen to it all instead of choppy.
What, it was like buffering, sort of?
Yeah.
Oh.
And Monroe's ex-husband, Arthur Miller. The Bureau has also been involved in numerous investigations about crimes against celebrities, including threats against Elizabeth Taylor, an extortion case against Clark Gable, and more recently trying to solve who killed rapper Notorious Big B.I.G. Killed him. You don't know? Okay?
I don't know.
Nothing more on Miss Monroe?
No, not another Monroe article.
I said, nothing more on Miss Monroe? Question?
Besides her being a pretty hot looking chick, I don't know. I don't have any question on Miss Monroe. All I know is she liked men with power, obviously, and they liked.
That's why she didn't like me.
And they liked her, huh?
I guess that's why she didn't like me, because I liked her.
Wasn't she the first Playboy Playmate of the Year? I think she was.
I had that picture somewhere.
I think she was.
I had that picture among
That's when Playboy did not show genitalia at all, right? Back in the day?
Airbrush.
Oh, God.
Airbrush, if they showed genitalia.
You see how stupid America was back then? The puritanical, anti-sexuality, attitude that Hugh Hefner couldn't show a vagina in a photograph. Oh, I said that word. Vagina.
A Florida fossils dealer pleaded guilty to smuggling charges Thursday and agreed to give up a celebrated $1 million dinosaur skeleton seized by the U.S. government earlier this year.
Gee, I wonder why.
From its eventual return to Mongolia.
Seized?
Eric Prokopi,
That's his name, right?
38,
Okay.
said he would surrender the 70-million-year-old Tyrannosaurus Batar skeleton, known as TY.
Wonder what happened to the gentleman that procured T-Rex DNA from the bone marrow, and he was supposed to put it in chicken eggs, fertilized chicken eggs. I wonder what happened with that project.
And maybe Monsanto has taken it over.
Dino chicken? You think Monsanto owns Dino chicken?
I would assume so. They own all of his genetically modifying thingies.
Probably creating a bunch of Mighty Joe Youngs right now as we speak.
And give up claims to 6 other dinosaurs and various other bones in a cooperation deal that might win him leniency from charges that carry a potential prison sentence of up to 17 years. Assistant U.S. Attorney Martin S. Bell read a list of the dinosaurs to Magistrate Judge Ronald L. Ellis, saying a second, substantially complete Tyrannosaurus skeleton was found at Procopy's Gainesville, Florida home, while a third was believed to be in Great Britain. Bell said the government will also get to keep a Chinese flying dinosaur.
Pterodactyl?
That Procopy illegally imported. A skeleton of a Saurolophus.
What? Saurolophus?
A Saurolophus, a duck-billed plant-eating dinosaur.
Probably a very lazy dinosaur with the name of Lophus.
From the late Cretaceous period.
Was it called? They should call it an Aflacosis.
And 2
Aflac.
Oviraptor skeletons.
Okay.
One found at Procopy's home, and the other at another residential dwelling in Florida.
So what's the deal with Procopy and these fossils?
The oviraptors have parrot-like skulls.
Okay.
It's among the larger dinosaur shopping list you'll see today, Bell told the magistrate judge.
Are they on eBay, these dinosaur fossils?
In a release, U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara said, fossils and ancient skeletal remains are part of the fabric of a country's natural history and cultural heritage, and black marketers like Procopy, who illegally export and sell these wonders, steal a slice of that history.
Ill-gotten gains.
We are pleased that we can now begin the process of returning these prehistoric fossils to their countries of origin. Well, I think the conservative Republicans would call that communism. Holding those things in common for the people. That's terrible.
So I guess a conservative would condone ill-gotten gains, deregulated,
any kind of privatization,
ill-gotten money that is ill-gotten,
correct,
dishonest income.
As long as you own it, there can be no question.
Finders keepers, losers
weepers, yes.
But they allow money to be acquired in a dishonest way.
Correct.
If you're a fat cat, if you're an elitist.
Oh.
If you're a little guy procuring money in a dishonest way,
a pirate maybe.
They lock you up.
A pirate.
Yeah, pirate. Arr. They lock you up and throw away the key.
Yes,
but if you're an elitist fat cat, it's okay.
Or they put you in a privatized prison so that some private contractor can make money on you. That's how it's done.
Legalized slavery.
Yeah, that's how it's done.
Through privatized prisons.
Yeah. The government accused Procopy of smuggling bones into the country illegally from Mongolia.
Okay.
Before assembling them into a skeleton that was sold by Dallas-based Heritage Auctions for $1.05 million. A deal that was suspended pending the outcome of litigation. The government said the dinosaur skeleton was mislabeled as reptile bones from Great Britain. Procopi remains free on bail, pending a sentencing scheduled for April 25th. I guess that scheduling went through, huh? After his plea, he immediately went with prosecutors to their offices without commenting. In a statement last spring, Procopi defended his handling of the dinosaur, saying the value of the bones was labeled much lower than the eventual auction price because it was loose, mostly broken bones, and rocks with embedded bones. It was not what you see today, a virtually complete mounted skeleton.
Yeah.
Procopi pleaded guilty to conspiracy for importing the Chinese flying dinosaur, entry by goods by means of false Mongolian dinosaurs. Okay? Got to be honest when you're dealing with the dinosaurs. Let me read this, see if there's anything interesting here. Okay?
Okay.
Because the other thing is a little long in the tooth.
Okay.
This guy's complaining about another letter writer. The letter writer, while clearly presenting the Republican Party position on tax rates, has not addressed the situation where we currently find ourselves, in which corporate earnings have soared and pay for middle-class workers has stagnated. See, in the old days, as businesses succeeded, wages went up. Fringe benefits. Today, nothing goes up but profits. See? The exploitation of the working class by the greed of big business is the #1 reason the tax rates on the wealthiest Americans need to return to the pre-Bush tax cut era. The unequal distribution of wealth is a good indication of the immorality of the current business ethic. He's a commie! He's a pico commie! He's speaking against capitalism! If the circumstance in which only a few hold most of the wealth is not reversed, our democracy will be at stake. Hundreds of millions of dollars were spent by only a few people to promote the losing candidate during the past presidential election. Given the corruption money brings to the political process, one wonders what legislation would have already been signed into law if that same big money candidate had been successful. It is interesting how the voters who decry President Obama as a socialist are the very same who are unwittingly contributing to turning democracy into an oligarchy. We won't have much in the way of American freedom to discuss when that happens. I got news for you, pal. It's already happened. You know? The title should have been 2012, and the country, the United States, not Oceania. Here is why, in 1984. The book by George Orwell. Oceania was in a perpetual state of war. Consider Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and Iran. To keep the masses happy, abundant pornography and lotteries were available. Been to the movies lately? Remember the recent Powerball frenzy? In the novel, 1984, every room had two-way telescreens for surveillance. Today, we have GPS, drones, and cameras everywhere. Newspeak is now called politically correct speak. The F word is in and the N word is out. Holiday is in and Christmas is out. Undocumented is in and illegal is out. Big Brother tells us how much water we can have in our toilet tanks.
Excuse me. Yeah.
The maximum size of sugary drinks, and what kind of light bulbs we can buy.
Oh, you mean like not being able to buy energy efficient light bulbs?
No, the other way around.
But the ones that burn out all the time?
They want.
So you,
they got rid of that CFC, the good bulb law, and they brought back the what the hell do you call them light bulbs? The old ones.
Incandescent.
Incandescent.
So the ones you have to keep on buying over and over again, and spend more money on. So what happened to the green movement? It's not so green.
Not so green anymore. Okay. The only thing I'm not sure of is who is Big Brother? Good question. Good question.
Everybody seems to be quick to blame government for everything, but I say the demon is the corporate CEO, because they're the ones that buy the politicians. Wintertime is so drying to the skin.
Take some more vitamin A.
No, that's not going to lubricate the exterior. Vitamin A.
That's where you first dry out. The schnozola and the lippies.
Well, I have an ultrasonic humidifier in the house.
Oh.
I brought it up from the basement because we needed it. For those of you that have a wood or coal burning stove, make sure you have that big kettle of water on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest threat to Social Security benefits is not the chained consumer price index. Rather, our federal debt is becoming so unpayable that the only solution will be to inflate our currency explosively. Then, our Social Security benefits will lose value faster than any CPI adjustments will be able to keep up with. It seems that Charles Krautheimer, we all know him, all conservatives know him.
I don't know.
In an article called Stop the Madness, Put Everything on the Table, Krautheimer contends that American culture has become increasingly violent, and that helps explain why mass shootings occur. Americans once bought picture postcards of lynchings.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Paid to have their pictures taken beside gunned down criminals, and bought tickets to see Bonnie and Clyde's death call. Americans rode past Nat Turner's decaying corpse and rooted as Sherman ravaged the South.
Sounds like when the Romans used to put the crucified people along the road, along the roadside.
Way.
Yeah.
When have we not been a culture steeped in violence?
Wow, the human race is a vile creature. It always has been. You know,
Cain killed Abel.
I'm sorry. I'm progressive, but yeah, Cain did kill Abel, but I'm all for American citizens owning rifles and shotguns. Owning rifles and shotguns. really. I used to love archery. I love compound bows and everything, but you know what? And Bowie knives and things like that and whatever. But you know what? Rifles and shotguns, that'll be terrible. That'll be terrible, you know. Take them away. It's a constitutional right, you know. You should be able to own them.
Basically, the Constitution reads this way. The Supreme Court has interpreted it a wrong way. It says, a well-regulated militia being necessary, the government shall not infringe on a right to carry a gun.
And in honor of all those Wild Wild West movies that I grew up watching, having a good old-fashioned rifle is a good thing.
But you did not listen to the operative word in that sentence. A well-regulated militia.
What about defending your home?
We don't have a militia.
Militia?
We don't need a militia today. We have a National Guard.
Who obviously is representing the fat cats.
Whatever. That has nothing to do with what I'm trying to explain about the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
The Second Amendment supporters interpret it in a way that the individual is going to protect himself against his tyrannical government. Who in government today are the tyrants?
The people that are on top, that are paid off by the CEOs. Who are the tyrants? Congressmen and senators?
The obstructionists who want to destroy the United States government.
Norquist?
And his ilk. The Tea Party, etc. They're the ones
Grover Norquist,
who want the guns to destroy the government, not for protection of their home. They have a hidden agenda, my friend.
Well, my future brother-in-law says the best all-round firearm is still the 12-gauge shotgun. 12-gauge shotgun is the best all-round survivalist firearm to have in your house. Shoots slugs as well as the buckshot. But
again, you see, even he is pointing in the direction that I just said. He expects his government, mind you, hear what I said? His government to come against him one day, so that he has to fend off, stand his ground against the attacking bully government.
so it's not about
That's their idea.
So it's not about burglars trying to break in.
That's correct.
It's much deeper than that.
That's correct.
Well, you know, all right, the government is corrupted and they're paid off. Okay, we could turn around and say, well, the corporate CEOs are the real demons. But then again, the politicians are taking the money. They're being bought out. So it's like it takes two to do the tango. I mean, they're both equally guilty. You know, the politicians have a price, and the lobbyists, right, representing the corporations, are right there, softening them up before they pay them off.
But we keep electing them.
But the problem is, like Dr. Bill says, mainstream America keeps on electing the two-party system into office because the media doesn't let you get to know any of the independents. So you don't know them unless you listen to progressive radio.
The United States faces a crisis in our political system.
Yeah.
Because the Republican Party, particularly in the House of Representatives, is no longer a normal governing party.
Normal?
The only way we will avoid a constitutional crack-up is for a new bipartisan majority to take effective control of the House and isolate those who would rather see the country fall into chaos than vote for anything that might offend their ideological sensibilities. In a democratic system with separated powers, two houses of Congress, split between the parties, a normal party accepts that compromise is the only way to legislate.
Oh, gosh.
A normal party takes this into account and takes into account election results. A normal party recognizes when the other side has made real concessions. A normal party takes responsibility.
Compromise means selling out the little guy.
When it is dealing with the Tea Party, he's talking about normal parties. Big difference. That's how the country started. There were no parties. And to get anything done, you had to compromise.
Well, now we have like a compromise between angels and demons. Today.
By all of these measures.
Semi-angels, yeah.
The Republican majority that Speaker John Boehner purports to lead is abnormal.
Yeah.
That is the meaning of this catastrophic failure to gather the votes for his Plan B proposal on the fiscal cliff. Many of his most radical members believe they have a right to use any means at their disposal to impose their views on the country.
Yeah. So he would be majority leader and old Turtleface would be minority leader in the Senate, right?
Who?
Mitch McConnell would be the minority. He's a senator.
He's the minority leader in the Senate. Boehner is in the House.
Yeah, Boehner is the majority leader in the House.
Yeah.
Turtleface is in the Senate.
There are, however, there may be good news. The right wing of the Republican House has chosen to marginalize itself from any serious negotiations. The one available majority for action, especially on budgets, is a coalition uniting most Democrats with those Republicans who still hold the old-fashioned view that they were elected to help run the country. To avert a fiscal nightmare, this potential majority needs to be allowed to work its will. The result may well be a modestly more progressive solution than President Obama offered Boehner. A deal with somewhat fewer cuts and more revenue. That's the price the right wing will have to pay for refusing to cover.
There shouldn't be any cuts when it comes to the little guy, middle class and the poor. Shouldn't be any cuts. It should be complete surplus, and pluses, positive additions. It's long overdue that the middle class gets all the breaks. I don't like this deal, this bipartisanship deal. I don't like it at all.
This is almost exactly what happened in 1990, when the most conservative Republicans rejected a deficit reduction agreement negotiated by President George H.W. Bush and the Democrats. After a conservative rebellion brought the initial bill down, a more progressive measure was enacted with more Democratic votes. In the longer run, the non-Tea Party wing of the GOP will have to decide whether it wants to be subject to the whims of colleagues to their right or look to the center for alliances with Democrats. The choice is plain. We can spend 2 years doing absolutely nothing, or we can try to solve the country's problems. our political structure has been disfigured in another way. In November's election, Democrats failed to win the House, even though they received about 1 million more votes in House contests than the Republicans did. Republicans were protected by gerrymandering, districts, and by political geography. Democrats tend to win urban and certain suburban districts by overwhelming margins. In Pennsylvania, for instance, Democrats edged out the Republicans in the popular vote for House races. But given how the districts were drawn, this resulted in the Republicans winning 13 seats to only 5 for the Democrats. Both parties gerrymander, of course, but Republicans had far more influence over the process this time because the 2010 election gave them dominance of so many legislatures. Thus, did one election shape our politics for a decade. Even though the country changed its mind one election later. This unfortunate moment is vindication of those, like my colleagues Thomas Mann and Norman Ornstein, who have been arguing that today's Republicans are fundamentally different from their forebears. Of course they are. They are not the party of Lincoln anymore.
Lincoln was a hell of a lot more liberal, more to the left than Republicans are today.
It looks, Mann and Ornstein called the current GOP an insurgent outlier and described the party this way. It is ideologically extreme, scornful of compromise, and dismissive of the legitimacy of its political opposition. Their words are rather precise description of why Boehner was unable to deliver a majority of his party to his budget bill. It's true that Boehner miscalculated, foolishly asking Republicans to vote for a symbolic tax increase that had no chance of becoming law. And the Speaker fed the fires of rebellion with repeated false claims that Obama had made no meaningful concession when the President had, in fact, annoyed his base by making rather big ones. But now, we know something important. The current Republican majority in the House cannot govern. Only a coalition across party lines can get the public's business done.
Oh boy. Well, things will get done a lot quicker if the Democrats had control of the House and Senate, of course. Good things for the good of the whole country, the mainstream masses. It's as simple as that. The compromising just will make things, will make the whole process of recovery take much longer. Stimulating the economy.
Well, he's saying that there is no bipartisan from the Tea Party, but the more moderate Republicans joining with Democrats, maybe then they can govern the country. Marginalize the Tea Party. Out of it. They are out of it. Yep. They will not compromise.
Because
they are there to rule, not govern.
Yeah, because you're not dealing with
normal minds.
With normal minds and sincere political leaders with a honorable agenda.
Correct.
It's a dishonorable agenda and an agenda of power and greed.
And unfortunately, this agenda of power and greed and self-interest, they have wrapped up in God, the flag, Mom, apple pie, and Chevrolet.
That's right. That's right. And you know, and it took the fiscal cliff to get this compromising of some of the Republican senators and Congress people to be more agreeable with the Democrats, to work with them, and to compromise with the Democrats and with Obama. It took the fiscal cliff to do this, just like it takes a catastrophe for the country to, you know, realize that what they've have been doing was not working.
Oh yeah, but what about those people who still don't get it?
Except Homeland Security was kind of like a fiasco, right?
Boondoggle.
Yeah, yeah.
Boondoggle. Somewhere's about probably over $30 billion a year spent on that piece of crap.
Yeah.
They can't get. You see what happened in Benghazi?
Yeah.
The FBI, the CIA, by Homeland Security. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. It's a waste of moolah.
Yeah. It's like the big pothole in the street. The hole doesn't get filled until somebody breaks an axle or something. You know,
yeah,
but
and then who pays you? Who repairs that? You do. Who are you going to sue?
Yeah.
Huh? Who are you going to sue?
It's a lot.
Protect you. You can't sue the state. You can't sue the city. You can't sue the federal government. Can't sue. Can't sue. Can't sue.
If you have an older car and you're parked, or you know you're at a stoplight, and somebody hits you and totals out your car, they won't repair the damage.
They give you insurance value.
They'll give you the book value of the older car, which
$250.
Which means you cannot really afford to get another car.
Correct.
So you get chump change from the insurance company. So how does that help the innocent bystander who just got totaled by somebody else? It doesn't. It doesn't.
Because nothing is geared for the innocent bystander.
No, no.
A little guy.
Nope.
There are no Christians on Wall Street.
Democracy is really an oligarch. Oligarch and
sounds like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
An oligarch.
Is the word oligarch synonymous with feudalism, or so? What would you say? It's an oligarch.
Oligarch,
yeah.
Plutocracy, corptocracy. All of these things, you can use them almost synonymously.
Okay.
It's
now,
just the elites who are in charge.
Right.
It's going back to the days of the kings. What's so? It never changed. You never changed. Call them kings, call them oligarchs, corporations, plutocracy, whatever. It's kings.
Listen, and aside from Homeland Security, the whole green movement, if it was really working, and if it was meant to do the good that it intentionally was going to do, you would have acres. Hold on. You would have acres of solar panels, acres and acres and acres and acres upon acres of solar panels in the American Southwest desert, the Mojave Desert or whatever. You would have windmills in Colorado. You would have all the old hydroelectric plants where all the waterfalls are and everything working. Marine hydroelectric plants. All these things would exist already. The electric car that was invented many decades ago, we would have had the electric vehicle today. Not some, you know, hybrid that costs over $20,000. We would have had these electric cars today. You know?
But then you're putting some private contractor out of business.
Who cares? Screw,
yeah, but they
screw
care,
the greedy bastards. Screw them.
But who's going to do the screwing?
Yeah, you're right. Who's going to do the screwing?
The ones in charge ain't doing the screwing.
Here's the wrench, the ratchet, or the screwdriver.
Nurse Ratchet?
Huh?
Nurse Ratchet? One flew over the coop.
Oh, okay. I mean, the screw is in the hole, but who's turning the screwdriver?
The oligarchs.
The oligarchs.
Plutocracy, the
Right.
corporations,
Corporations.
the
Now,
elites.
now, do we have one last final, or that's it?
That's it.
We'll save it for the next time, for Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Oh, gee, we didn't run out of didn't run out of time. We can actually say goodbye this time. I do apologize for the past shows. You know, we talked so much and they were so long we couldn't say goodbye. Thank you.
Promo.
Oh, that's right. That's if I'm lucky. This gentleman right next to me. What happened to the
Copy. Yeah.
What happened? It was sitting right there.
I don't know. What did
To the
you do with it?
newsletter. Anyway, this
The
guy,
Republicans stole it.
this gentleman right here is a self-portrait of the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, my co-host and mentor, just like the other painting I showed you. Dr. Bill is a fine watercolor artist, and you can view the William J. Eisenman collection by going to your browser and typing in William J. Eisenman collection, and you can see the slideshow. Or you can go to our Newsletter Censored Facebook page and look at the whole album. If you see something you like, go to newslettercensored.com and email Dr. Bill and ask him if the painting is still available. And if it is, make him an offer. Usually bidding starts at $500 each, but make him a good offer, a gift to support this work. And you can acquire an actual signed watercolor painting made by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. Now, what happened to it? You know, that is a good question. I thought I had it sitting right on top of there. If you want to join our organization, this is the very best way to join our organization, to be a part of our organization, is to get your free annual subscription with your gift to support this work of Newsletter Censored. It was founded. Newsletter Censored was founded in 1977 by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. So go to newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to the newsletter that started it all. You need Newsletter Censored because we are living in the end times. You need Newsletter Censored to learn how to defeat a conservative, which happens to be the new series started in the newsletter. Volume 1 of How to Defeat a Conservative, which is a sequel to the original censored reading that is on the internet, How to Defeat a Conservative. So, because Sexuality, a Holistic Approach has finished. So get your subscription right now to support this work. You need Newsletter Censored. This is the way you join the Mega Life 21 and Newsletter Censored organization. This is the way you join us. You get your annual subscription to Newsletter Censored. All right. Now I want to thank everybody for joining us for this week's the post-holiday progressive discussions. Post. Because it happens to be Wednesday, January 2nd, 2013. And we couldn't be with you Saturday. So that's it. See you next time. Actually, see you very soon. Say so long to these people.
Oh, Lord.